Now, in last year, we have studied about accounts and what else we have studied? HRM, right? So whatever we are doing this, so we are accounts or finance. Basically, what is finance? Finance is nothing but money. Management is how you are going to utilize that money what you got, maybe from your own source or from external source, so that you can utilize it with minimum wastage and maximum profit or wealth. The same thing we are going to deal it with regard to international finance. Okay, so in our first chapter we are going to deal about what is international financial environment. Now when you talk about international finance, it is about all those firms who are selling goods or services internationally. It may be through export or import, or by having a subsidiary, or by just doing foreign direct investment or anything else. So whenever you're doing it, when money is coming from outside or going outside, that is called as financial environment. So it comprises of, say for example, you have an MNC. Okay, you know MNC is a multinational corporation. So it arranges funds from the foreign exchange market. Why? Because even though it is getting funds from its home country, it has to convert it into the local currency and bring it to that area. Okay. So you're doing export on imports or product market. So product market means that market where we are buying and selling products internationally. So that is through export or import. Or say you have a parent company, for example, Unilever. Okay, it is having it is a parent company. It is situated in London, that is UK or England, and it is having its subsidiaries or you can say branches all over the world. Okay, so it is going to put money from the parent company, and the profits what is getting, say from India, for example, Hindustan Lever, that is a subsidiary of Unilever. So the money will go back to its parent company. Okay, similarly, they will raise funds from maybe India or from any other country. So there is investment in financial markets where money is raised, like for example, stock exchange. Okay, so stock exchange, not only Indian stock exchange or worldwide. Okay, NASDAQ, that is a US stock exchange. So all these things, international stock exchange, foreign exchange market, product market, all of this constitute the international financial environment. Okay, so we'll start with the basic concept first. Now, what is international financial management? So firms engage in some or the other form of international business. It may be borrowing of funds. Okay, recently Reliance has borrowed for funds from the local market as well as from the international market. Okay, so money is arranged in some or the other form, or maybe you are a local business person. You want some particular machine from a foreign country. So you are booking a machine, say from Germany, and that machine comes here. You buy or you pay for it. So even though you're not doing business there, you're using only the infrastructure or the machine here. Still the payment, this thing is considered as international financial management. So it may be a small form of, say for just import or export, or it may be in the form of a transnational or a multinational company. So any sort of small or big funds transfer between two countries is called as international financial management. Okay. So such companies where money is in form of foreign exchange or inflow of outflow of funds from abroad, such managers have to conduct international financial management. It involves investing decisions or international investment, financing decisions, which are influenced by exchange rate, foreign interest rates, labor cost, and inflation. Say, for example, now you're going to buy a particular product from other country. When you're going to buy it, we are going to think about when to buy. Why? I want everybody to unmute your audio so that you can respond. Yes. Only how many of you are present? Only two?
No, ma'am.
Yes, please respond. Yes. Whenever we buy a product, what do you think about? Forget international business or normally also. Say you are thinking of buying a car or a bungalow or a bike or anything else. What are the things we keep in mind while buying it?
Brand name, price.
Brand name, price. What else? So when you're talking about brand name, do you think much about price? Okay, you want to buy an
No.
Apple phone or iPhone. Do you think about price? No, right? So when you're
No.
much concerned about
No.
quality, you don't think about price. Because for you, that a
Yes, ma'am.
brand is important or quality is important or status is important. When do you think about price? Yes, when you're going to give a gift to someone, right? When you're buying for your own, you don't think much about price. You will wait because you want to get the best product. But you want to sell it to somebody else or you want to gift it to somebody else. We definitely think about price, right? So say for example, you're doing a business. You want to order a particular product and there are different vendors available in India and abroad. From whom will you buy the product and why? Yes. So you want one component for one product which you are selling. Okay, when you're going to order that product or buy the product, from which vendor will you buy? That price, which is that person who is having a higher price, but a best quality product, or a person who is having an average quality and a reasonable price, or a low quality and less price, from whom you're going to buy?
Average quality at a reasonable price.
Yes. Why? Because you don't want to compromise with the price also and you want a quality product. No doubt the best. Okay. So similarly, when people are doing international business, I want a particular machinery. Okay. So when I do the deal, the okay, the deal is done in which currency? In your own currency or in the currency of the vendor? Yes. Say you are buying a machine from Germany. So that person will ask payment in which currency? In Indian rupees or in dollars or in euros or pounds? What? Yes. They will definitely ask
Crores.
in the international standard currency. It may be dollars or euros, right? Now, does the price of the
Yes.
international currencies remain same every day?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. No, it fluctuates. Why it
No.
fluctuates? Because of the demand and the supply. Okay. So more of Indians are buying foreign products. The demand for the foreign currency is increasing. So the price will increase. Okay. So I will make a payment in such a way that the payment should reach so that the price shouldn't be high of that currency at that particular time. Okay. So whenever you are buying and selling internationally, we have to take into care of the exchange rate, then what is the interest rate, both internally. Say for that machinery you are buying taking a loan. Okay, so you have to take care of the interest rate also. See, on the other hand, you want an expert for your as an employee and he is not available locally. You are getting a foreign specialist for a particular project or assignment. So if he is from a country where labor cost is high, then you will rethink, right? Now, in which countries is labor cost high and which countries labor cost is low? Okay, India, China is known for what? High labor cost. So I'm giving you the hint also, or low labor cost.
Low labor cost.
Low labor cost. Why? Because population is abundant and there are skilled people also. If you go to Europe, you go to USA, their salaries are really high, so you can't afford it. Okay, so whenever, that's the reason why we have so many MNCs coming to India. We have this Make in India program. So many call centers, BPO centers are in India. The basic thing is the labor cost is less. So I will go and set up a business in such a place where the labor cost is less. I have easy accessibility to natural resources. So that's why India is, and China, or say Southeast Asia, is become a hub. The basic reason here is labor cost is low and resources also are available very easily. Okay, so whenever you are doing international business, we have to take into consider all these things, like foreign exchange rate, the labor cost, inflation, and interest rate. Okay. Then we have different types of international firms. We have transnational corporations and multinational corporations. Now, multinational, you have heard about it, right? And transnational, I don't think so you have heard about it. So transnational company is that companies which is involved in international production of goods and services. So wherever possible, it opens its units. Okay. So it is like the whole world is a village for them, a country for them, and every, say, city or a country, they do their business. So it operates in other countries rather than home country. So it may be, say, maybe a company from, say, if you talk about Toyota Motors, it's from Japan, but it is doing business all over the world. They do not have subsidiaries. They go to that country and they have their own unit. Okay, they don't have subsidiaries. So in their, basically many of the companies in their home country, they don't do any business. Other than their home country, everywhere else, they are doing the business. Okay. So decision making is made. So for example, there is some particular problem in their Indian unit. They will not call to Japan and say, "Kya karenge bhai?" No. They will decide the matter then and there without asking the parent company. So individual decision making is there. Okay. Total system is decentralized. For any small or big funds, they don't call back their hometown and ask what to do. Every decision, big, small, funds, everything is left to that country where it is doing business. Okay. Whereas multinational corporation, it is a large corporation, but it is centrally located, means parent company, say for example, Hindustan Lever, it is parent company is Unilever. It is situated in London. So any small, big decisions or other bigger decisions are taken care of by the parent company. So a large corporation operated in home country, but which produces and sells goods in various countries is called a multinational company. Okay, so transnational company, whole world is like their own country. They don't differentiate between their home country, or rather leaving their home country, they're doing everywhere else their business. But multinational corporation, it is centrally located. Decision making is centralized. From the parent company only decision will come. And it will register in the home country and will have a subsidiary or a branch in the host country. Means Unilever is registered in London and it will have branches or subsidiaries in India, in Australia, in South Africa, everywhere else. Okay. Decision making, as I told you, it is centralized. So examples are Microsoft, Walmart, and so on. So have you any doubts about transnational company and multinational? I think it's very clear. Both are doing businesses everywhere, but decisions are centralized in MNCs, and in transnational companies, decisions individually they are taken based on the country needs and demand of the customers. Yes, we'll move on to the next part. So before we go to the theories of international business, we'll talk about the different modes of doing international business. So the most primitive way of doing international business here is export and import. Right from we can say Egyptian or Indus Valley civilization, people moved to different countries to buy the goods, sell the goods. Okay. Say for example, from India, cotton and wheat used to go to Egypt 5,000 years ago. I'm not talking about today. Okay. Even that Malmal cloth, they used to take it from here. Then if you talk about the colonial rule, British came to India not to rule us, but to buy pepper, jewels, marble. Okay. So the oldest form of doing business is export and import, which we call it as international trade. It is a more conservative approach, we say. Why a conservative approach? We are not taking the risk of going and registering in that company. We are just sending goods and buying goods. Okay. So it is most comfort. Sometimes even we don't go there. Nowadays we don't go there. We just send the goods. So it is called a conservative because there is no risk of investment. Somebody is giving you an order, I am sending you. It's not like nowadays that we go and set up a company, launch our products, then people will come to buy. No, here export and import, it's very specific. Okay, किसी को चाहिए, हम वो order पूरा कर रहे हैं. That's it. So that's why it is called as conservative approach. The amount is pre-planned, the deal is done, some amount is taken beforehand also. So it is the most conservative and primitive way of doing international trade. Second one is licensing. So licensing means, say a company, say existing in some other country, wants to sell their products here, but it doesn't want to come it by itself. So it chooses an agent here. The agent gets a license from the company who is manufacturing the product or service. Then he has to pay the fees. Then that on the original company's name, he is going to sell the product. So the person who is say selling in India, he is just an agent. He will just get the goods and he will sell the goods for commission basis. Here there is no profit, no risk. Okay, I'm not investing anything other than the license fees. I'm just getting the product, selling it, and it is not on my name. The brand name, profit will go to him, but the person and agent is doing on commission basis. Okay, and the third one, franchising. Now this is a fancy word used nowadays in just say couple of 30-40 years. So all major retail businesses, say right from your fast food centers to garment industries, most of them are doing franchising. So franchising obligates a firm to provide a specialized sale or service strategy and give support assistance. Say for example, your Pizza Hut, McDonald's, or your Peter England showrooms, or Tanishq, so many other. So these are our franchise business. Here you have to invest a part. The original parent company will give you some, they will help you in setting up. It will not invest. It will give you the product. You have to invest in the infrastructure, but it will tell you how to do it. Okay, everything is standardized, the formula of that pizza or that, everything will be given. Brand name, advertising, everything is ready-made for the person. He has to just set up the unit and sell the products. And there will be, say, percentage in profit, say 5%, 10% in profit. So you don't have to bother about the advertisement. Only the possible initial investment you have to do, and remaining things, training of the employees, their dress, how to set up the interiors, everything is done by that branded company. Say that's why we have, you go to any Pizza Hut store, they have a similar ambience. Okay, the decoration is similar, the taste is similar. So here you don't have to crack your brains for a new product. Heng sell madodu, yes discount kododu, heng advertise madodu. Nothing is being taken care of. Okay, you have to just run the show and get the remuneration as a percentage of profit with some initial investment. So that is franchising. Then the next thing is joint venture. Okay, so the best example for this is your Maruti Suzuki or Hero Honda. Okay, Hero is an India company. Now they have, their joint venture is over. They have become separate companies now. So when two companies, one may be having expertise in market share, or maybe the demand or the market share, and one more is having technological expertise. So two people come together and share the expertise. Say for example, your Maruti Suzuki. Suzuki was well known for its technology. Maruti knew the consumer Indian market. So they both collaborated for a few years and launched a product which you have, that car. Okay. So similarly, there are many such joint ventures where two big companies of two different countries come together and for a particular time period, invest and do business and share their profit accordingly. Okay, so this is a joint venture. Then next is acquisition of existing operations. Say for example, a company is running here. Say for example, your Flipkart. Flipkart was originally was a Indian Bangalore-based company started by some Indian IIT professionals. Now it has been taken over by whom? Yes, who has invested in Flipkart? Yes, anybody?
Walmart.
Yes, Walmart. Okay. So why did Walmart invest here? These Flipkart people needed funds. Okay. Walmart wanted to enter Indian market. So we are running out of time. We'll continue session tomorrow. Okay. So I'll discuss about it tomorrow. Okay. Yes, we'll meet tomorrow again. Same time. Yes. Bye. See you. I'm going to end the session now.
Thank you, ma'am.